Welcome to Curious Minds. When we think of engineering, we picture people in hard hats, building dams and walls to control nature. But nature has its own engineers, beavers with fur, sharp teeth and flat tails. In Scotland, beavers are reshaping the land, building dams that create healthier rivers and support wildlife. Unlike us, beavers slow water down, making rivers messy and complex, helping prevent floods and droughts. Their return is teaching us that working with nature can be more effective than fighting it. The beaver's answer is transforming Scotland, one stick and stone at a time. For over 400 years, Scotland was a land without beavers. These industrious animals once thrived in its rivers and lochs. They were a key part of the ecosystem, shaping the environment around them. But in the 1500s, they were hunted to extinction. People wanted their fur for hats and their glands for medicine. Without the beavers, Scotland's landscape began to change in quiet, profound ways. The dams that once dotted the waterways crumbled and vanished. The ponds and wetlands they maintained slowly drained away. The constant, gentle engineering that had shaped the land for thousands of years suddenly stopped. After the beavers disappeared, the rivers became different. They started to flow faster and straighter. Without the network of dams to slow the water down, small streams turned into deeper, more powerful channels. During heavy rains, water rushed from the hills into the lowlands, carrying soil and nutrients with it. This led to more flash floods downstream. In dry times, the opposite happened. Without the beaver ponds acting like sponges, holding water on the land, streams and rivers dried up more quickly. The landscape became less resilient, swinging more wildly between flood and drought. The loss of beavers was not just about water. It was also about the loss of life. The complex wetlands created by beavers are hotspots for biodiversity. These areas, with their mix of deep ponds, shallow pools and dead wood, provide homes for countless species. When the beavers vanished, so did their habitats. The number of insects, like dragonflies and mayflies, declined. This meant less food for fish and birds. Amphibians like frogs and newts lost their breeding pools. The rich, vibrant tapestry of life that depended on beaver wetlands began to unravel, leaving the landscape poorer and quieter. For centuries, no one truly understood what had been lost. People forgot that the straight, fast-flowing rivers were not the natural state. They became used to a landscape that was less dynamic and less full of life. The memory of the beaver and its role as an ecosystem engineer faded into history books and folklore. The problems of flooding and poor water quality were seen as challenges to be managed with concrete walls and dredging machines. It would take a bold idea and a carefully planned experiment to remind Scotland of the powerful, positive influence of its long-lost engineers. By the early 21st century, a new idea was gaining ground. Scientists and conservationists began to ask, what if we brought the beavers back? They looked at the declining health of Scotland's rivers and the rising costs of flood management. They saw the potential for beavers to help solve these problems naturally. So, in 2009, a landmark decision was made. After centuries of absence, beavers were officially reintroduced to Scotland in a carefully managed trial. The chosen location was Knapdale Forest in Argyll, a quiet area of woodlands and lochs that seemed like a perfect home for the returning animals. This was not a simple case of releasing animals into the wild. The Scottish beaver trial was one of the most closely monitored reintroduction projects ever undertaken. A small number of beaver families from Norway were released into the lochs of Knapdale. Every move they made was tracked by scientists. Researchers studied how the beavers built their dams and lodges. They measured changes in water levels, water quality, and the surrounding vegetation. They wanted to understand exactly what impact the beavers would have on the Scottish environment after being gone for so long. It was a scientific experiment on a landscape scale. The trial aimed to answer important questions. Would the beavers thrive? How would their dams affect the flow of water and the risk of flooding? I mean, what would happen to the fish populations, especially the iconic Atlantic salmon? And how would the local community and landowners react to their new neighbors? There were concerns, particularly from farmers who worried that beaver dams might flood valuable agricultural land. The project leaders worked closely with local people, listening to their concerns and developing management plans. The whole of Scotland, and indeed the world, was watching Knapdale. Over the next 5 years, the beavers of Knapdale did what beavers do best. They got to work. They felled trees, built dams on small streams, and created a series of new ponds and wetlands. The landscape began to change in visible ways. What was once a simple, fast-flowing stream became a complex, multi-level series of pools. The results of the scientific monitoring were remarkable. The data showed that the beavers were not just changing the scenery, they were fundamentally improving the health and resilience of the ecosystem. The success of the Knapdale trial paved the way for the beavers' official return to the rest of Scotland. The changes brought by beavers were nothing short of revolutionary. As they settled in, they began to re-engineer their new home, building dams with sticks, mud, and stones. These dams created new ponds and wetlands, dramatically altering water flow and reducing floods. During droughts, beaver wetlands acted as natural reservoirs, keeping streams flowing and landscapes green. Their dams filtered water, trapping sediment and pollutants and improving water quality for free. The return of water brought an explosion of life. Frogs, insects, birds and mammals all thrived. Beavers weren't just building dams, they were restoring a vibrant, resilient ecosystem to the landscape. For a long time, we engineered rivers to be straight, deep and fast, removing water quickly, but creating fragile systems. These tidy channels are prone to floods, droughts, and offer little for wildlife. In Scotland, beavers are showing us a better way. Messy, complex, and resilient rivers. Their dams create networks of ponds and wetlands, slowing water, filtering it, and supporting biodiversity. Unlike concrete dams, beaver solutions are natural, self-maintaining, and multi-purpose. Of course, this messiness can cause conflicts with farmers, but with creative management, Scotland is learning to see beavers as a resource, not just a problem. The story of the Scottish beaver is a powerful lesson in how our relationship with nature can change. What began as a small, controversial trial has grown into a national conservation strategy. In 2022, beavers gained legal protection as a native species, marking a huge shift in perspective. Beavers are now seen as ecosystem engineers, helping Scotland tackle flooding, drought, and biodiversity loss. Around the world, countries are considering similar reintroductions to heal lost ecosystems. The return of the beaver shows that by restoring natural systems, we can make our environment more robust and vibrant. Ultimately, the beaver's return is a story of hope, proof that by working with nature, we can build a better future. If you liked this video, please like and subscribe to Curious Minds for more fascinating content.